1v1 me stakers, the COD League S&D draft has finished, and we have a few new faces and a lot of new duos. Who drafted a team that could compete for that $2,500 prize pool at the end of the season, and who is not even close to making the playoffs? Well, today, let's go through the draft and see if you and I can answer a few of those questions. With the first pick in the draft, Desmond took the newest addition to the player pool in Bowl Cut Matt. A lot of people thought Desmond was gonna run it back with his duo from last season in Juju, instead opting for the current Challengers player and CCL national runner-up in Bowl Cut Matt. I gotta give this draft an S tier pick for the Pack-a-Punch. Next up in Glowcent with the number 2 pick, he did have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever in picking his arch rival flanked. Instead, going with the surprise pick in B-Mark. Bean did have an incredible season last year and was even able to lead his squad at some points throughout the season. I like the pick, I'm a little worried about the chemistry. This goes in B. Now we had Intex at number 3, who was a happy camper as flanked basically fell into his lap. An easy choice, but also the right choice. This draft pick goes in A. Now shocking stakers and staff alike, Visma at the number 4 selection decided to go with I'm not effective. Seemingly with an I can save him mentality, Visma believes that him and I'm not effective will be able to shock teams this season. Now I'm not sure if I quite agree, but I'll throw the pick in B tier simply for the balls of choosing a guy who went 0-17 last season. Next was no surprise as Gusify decided to run it back with his duo from the last 2 seasons in Streak. With so much chemistry from the past 2 seasons and going all the way to grand finals losing in around 11, this team has already proven just how good they can be. For me, this draft pick goes in A tier. Rounding out the top half at number 6, Conwa was just as surprised to see Juju go all the way down to him as we were, but making his selection and now really setting this duo up to be one of the best teams this season. I think this is an absolute super duo, and that's why it's going in S tier. Next, on to defending champ, I believe, who really seems to be taking my advice, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because that's exactly what he did with Get Picked. Out of the draft picks left, I easily think this was the best selection that I believe could have made, keeping the chemistry from last year and keeping our defending champions together. For me, this also goes in A tier. Now, as we hit pick number 8, we had the new faces who didn't have a lot of options. But I am afraid that Equipped, former CDL coach and S&D legend, may have made a mistake. Drafting Scythe with still 3 other players on the board doesn't necessarily seem to me like the best pick. That's why it's going in C tier. At number 9, former CDL pro and Challengers competitor Phantoms was able to pick up Rayskis. A guy who showed a lot of promise with Comwa last season, getting all the way to the semifinals, makes it a pretty good pick for me considering how late in the draft you were. I'm going with B tier. Another CCL national champion in Proda had the second to last pick in the draft. So again, as we mentioned, not necessarily having the cream of the crop to pick through, but getting Launer this late in the draft doesn't necessarily seem like a bad pick. Not bad, but not the best. We're gonna go with B tier. With the last pick in the draft, 2 Real had absolutely no choice in who he got to draft. Which is why I'm Not Effective's ex-duo from last season, Cedo, fell all the way to 12th after an 0-17 performance last season. Not necessarily an upgrade for 2 Real, but for Cedo, a captain that may be able to really find his skills and bring them to the forefront for this team. Still gotta go with C tier. So stakers, what duos do you think should be higher or lower on our board? And do you think anyone made a huge mistake in this season's draft?